Do you recall how back before the 2016 election, people were making grim predictions for what a Donald Trump presidency would look like? And the Boston Globe famously created a front page from the future. And it was apocalyptic: mass deportations, trade wars, sinking markets, war crimes, civil rights violations. A decade later, with Trump actually as president, we get days like that every once in a while, and maybe none more so than today. Here's what the homepage of the New York Times looked like today. News from a widening war in the Middle East that's brought in at least half a dozen and more countries, a U.S. economy on the brink, a huge miss in today's job numbers sent stocks tumbling so hard, even Fox couldn't ignore it.
So we have a negative number for February non-farm payrolls, a loss of 92,000 jobs. You can see the market reacting. We are also seeing the unemployment rate tick up to 4.4%, a loss of factory jobs of 12,000, government jobs, a loss of 6,000, private sector jobs, a loss of 86,000. Again, all of these numbers, to be clear here, are the opposite of the estimates that we got.
And that very dire jobs report is happening as Trump's senseless, deadly, costly war is driving up gas and oil prices worldwide. Just look at that chart. Look all the way to the right, where it goes vertical. That is the cost of what's called light sweet crude, right? That's the gasoline that ends up in your car, nearly doubling since the beginning of the year. And Donald Trump keeps claiming he's doing great on gas prices. He loves to talk about gas prices. As of yesterday, the price Americans pay at the pump had risen 27 cents a gallon since last week, according to the American Automobile Association. That's an average, though. It doesn't tell the whole story. This is a list of states where gas prices spiked the most over the past week, according to petroleum analyst Patrick DeHaan. 44 cents in Indiana and West Virginia. I should also note that the 8 most expensive states on the list voted for Trump in 2024. And to be clear, we are not even really feeling the supply shocks from this war yet. The war has basically stopped shipping traffic in the Persian Gulf, particularly Straits of Hormuz. Kuwait is curbing its output. Qatar is warning it will shut off its oil supply if the war continues. And the people around Trump are freaking out. His chief of staff, Susie Wiles, telling his advisors to come up with ideas to lower gas prices as the war dries them up. 2 energy industry executives told Politico it's a good idea. It's a good one to think of. When Reuters got Donald Trump on the phone for an exclusive interview on Thursday, and boy, he's been doing a lot of phoners recently, he said of gas prices, and I quote him here, "If they rise, they rise." We're going to have more on just how much gas prices might rise later in the show, but it's just one of many examples of how apparently Donald Trump and people around him didn't consider the consequences of all this. He wanted his war, and he was willing to spend lots of your money to get it. In fact, today, a Politico report revealed that some Republican lawmakers are hearing estimates the Pentagon is spending as much as $2 billion a day on the war. And for what, you might ask? What is the casus belli here? What is the reason? What is the goal? What is the objective? What are American and Israeli attacks achieving? In the past 24 hours, after days of increasingly dire reporting, multiple media outlets who have investigated one of the first major strikes of the war say it was likely American forces, our forces, that bombed a girls' elementary school and killed at least 165 people, many of them children, according to Iranian reports. On the very first day of the war, likely one of the United States military's worst mass killings of civilians in many years. The Pentagon and White House say they are still investigating the incident. We're going to have more on that horrific strike coming up this hour. But the reporting that has emerged shows that this was not just a byproduct of the way this administration has waged war. The World Health Organization says at least 13 hospitals and clinics have been struck in Iran so far. 4 medics are among the more than 1,200 people killed there, according to local reports. And to be clear, this is all entirely consistent with Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth's demand that his commanders go for maximum lethality.
The dumb, politically correct wars of the past were the opposite of what we're doing here. They had vague objectives with restrictive, minimalist rules of engagement. No more. Our authorities, his authorities, CENTCOM's authorities through the president and myself are maxed out.
maxed out. We're not doing woke anymore. We're not doing rules of engagement. We're not listening to lawyers. We're killing as many people as we can. Children and teachers and parents and loved ones buried in a mass funeral. While bombs are falling in a dozen different countries and people are taking cover. And at least 6 American service members are dead. 1,200 Iranians, over 120 in Lebanon, 11 Israelis, 9 Gulf state residents. Those are the human costs just so far of this war of choice. Energy prices are spiking. The economy is sputtering. And today, the Washington Post reports, and MS Now has confirmed, Russia is providing Iran with targeting information to attack American forces in the Middle East, including the location of U.S. warships and aircraft, marking the unofficial entry of a second major American adversary into this war that Congress has not signed off on. Something Donald Trump, at a truly bizarre event about, of all things, college athletics, something Donald Trump was asked about at that event tonight.
It sounds like the Russians are helping Iran target and attack Americans now.
That's an easy problem compared to what we're doing here. I mean, but can I be honest? It's just, I have a lot of respect for you. You've always been very nice to me. What a stupid question that is to be asking at this time. We're talking about something else.
You're asking me about war? About our American service members being targeted by an adversary at a time like this when I'm trying to solve the transfer portal? Do you know how much money these schools are paying in NIL? Do you know? We are talking about serious business here, and you want to ask about war. This is a war, by the way, with, again, no real objections, no real objectives, no real plans, no end goals. But, and really this is really the cherry on top of this very, very long day and week, that did not stop Trump this morning from, and I swear to God I'm not making it up, as you will hear, teasing to CNN's Dana Bash the next war he wants to launch.
He said that the U.S. is doing very well militarily, quote, better than anybody could have dreamed. He said that he rebuilt the military in his first term. He's using it in his second. And then he quickly turned to Cuba. He said, without being asked, Cuba is going to fall pretty soon, by the way, but Cuba is going to fall. They want to make a deal so badly. And I asked, how so? He said, they want to make a deal, so I'm going to put Marco over there, and we'll see how that works. But we're really focused on this one now, meaning Iran.
You can tell how focused he is on Iran by the fact that he couldn't keep focus on Iran for even a full paragraph of text. The man who promised to bring prices down, to keep the U.S. out of foreign wars, cannot stop dreaming up new expensive wars of conquest as working people keep taking it on the chin.